the folks in here that are looking at making investments or starting businesses where it's, it's only statewide at this point, give you kind of a bigger picture of to where it might go as, the federal government pulls their heads out of their asses. So in Canada, it's a federally regulated system. It got pushed down by the Supreme Court about 10 years ago. There was a constitutional challenge that people had right to access to marijuana for medicine. The Supreme Court agreed, and the first iteration of the federal mandate was pushed out for access to the product. It wasn't very well put together, and the new iteration, which was MMPR, came out a couple years ago. We've got 39 companies in all of Canada that are licensed to produce cannabis. In comparison, I think you guys have over 1,000 in Washington State, 1,000 in Colorado. So we've got 39 for the entire country. And our companies go from literally seed to sale. So we produce the product. Any oil extractions or derivatives that are derived from that, we do that process. Any edibles that are created, we do the edibles as well, and then we sell directly to the patient. So you order through our website or over the phone with credit cards. We bank with the big banks, and the product's delivered to you by our federal post service, Canada Post, in 24 hours. So it truly is that seed to sale and captures the whole platform and every link of the retail chain, which provides some, pretty good upsides and margins. We got involved. There's a group of 4 of us that get involved in these companies. We come in and acquire them, or acquire a large percentage of them from, mom and pop organizations that have started, got the original license, but don't have the expertise on, commercialization or scalability. We come in and put our money where our mouth are, and we write pretty large checks to acquire majority stakes in the company, and then we bring in the expertise to commercialize that and bring it to a bigger scale. We did our first company about 4 years ago. It was the first organic producer in Canada, Organigram. We raised about $50 million for that company over a period of about 2 years. And that company trades at about a $400 million valuation in Canada right now. We parlayed that experience and track record into our second company about a year and a half ago, Emblem Cannabis. I think we had one of the guys on the board here took that as one of their investment picks. But same thing, we got involved with that, and we raised them $20 million last year at 50 cents a share, followed up by a 75-cent share raise for another $25 million, and then took them public at $1.15. I think they're trading around $2.50. In those companies, we're more of a consulting basis. We weren't active management, and we decided to parlay that over into our new company, the Green Organic Dutchman. And we've come on as the executive management team. We personally acquired 8% of the company and wrote a check for $5 million ourselves, and are now growing that forward. We'll see if the slides are working now. All right, at least I know what I'm talking about. We can go without it. We acquired the production facility in Canada in August of last year. We acquired 80% of it for $4.7 million. And we're now breaking ground on a 150,000 square foot expansion to that facility. So give you an idea in dollars and cents, that'll take us from about $7 million a year in revenue to fiscal year 2019. We should do about $150 million in revenue with a cost on that at about $1.50 a gram, and we're selling at $11. So they're pretty nice margins in there. We have taken a bit of a different approach too, and I think this is something that people need to pay a lot of attention to when either investing or building out their own company. Don't be shy to bring on groups that have the expertise in commercialization or in the sciences. That old story of people that want to keep the whole pie for themselves and it ends up being a small pie. There really is ways to scale these, whether it's through licensing in other states, whether it's bringing on people that have e-commerce expertise, whether it's people that bring the security backgrounds, but bringing on partners in the space to really help you grow it, help you not lose the license, because you're going to spend a lot of investment, time, and money moving through this process to start. Heaven forbid you end up losing that because you're not clear on your operating procedures and where you're going. So really make sure you're diversifying those risks as you're moving forward in the business. We're one of the most regulated industries in the world. Every batch of every strain that we produce gets tested by Health Canada independently. Our facilities and vaults are more secure than most banks in the United States. We have 4-foot thick walls with motion sensors built into them, and that's after outside perimeter security. But in that sense, we've had no big issues in Canada with theft. There's not been one establishment that's been robbed. But we're held to a very high standard with the regulatory process with Health Canada. We've had recalls on products where there's been a pesticide at several parts per billion that's being tested by Health Canada, and they've had the producer go back and recall the entire lot from the last 6 months, put out public press releases to do so. But what that's done is it's set up a framework where people feel very safe in what they're buying, and a lot of the pushback you get from whether it's investors or users is kind of this big pharma. Why shouldn't everyone be able to grow it themselves? You guys are going through it, seeing your licensing processes here in Florida. There is a method to that madness, and it sets a framework out so that you're not going to fall on your face or have that egg thrown at you, and that it can be moved forward properly, and that stops the worries of repealing laws that are pushed forward, and gives some really good clarity in the long run. And that's something we have in Canada that's made a really big difference. A little bit of our team, I've gone through a bit of it. They give you an idea right now. That's the current facility. It's about 8,000 square feet. We're an organic producer, so we use no pesticides, no chemicals at any point through our growing process. We have geothermal power. We have solar power in our facility. We've reforested. We've got a 100-acre property. We've reforested a bunch of it. We have beehives and natural honey. So we've really gone for a holistic, organic approach, and that's something that's resonated really well with investors and with users. And something to look at in whatever facet of the business you guys are looking at is try find something that differentiates yourself from everyone else. Whether you're a grow, whether you're a dispensary, whether you're doing edibles, find something that makes you stand out from all the other people in the business. Because when it does commoditize, and it will at some level, those are the things that will set you apart and really make a big difference. I'll give you a little idea. The little pinprick on the top right of that square is the current facility. That's sitting on the gray area. That's 25 acres. Give you a bit of an idea of the expansion potential we have. We can get up to actual growing square footage of about 2.5 million square feet. We're really not having luck with this today. The phase 1 expansion we're doing is 145,000 square feet. It is a hybrid, fully automated greenhouse. So the only thing really greenhouse about what we're doing is the fact that the glasses are, the roof are made of glass. Other than that, they're individual 10,000 square foot rooms. They're all individually climate and humidity controlled. So if you do have any pest outbreaks or any issues that happen, they're contained to that singular room and don't spread throughout your entire facility. We talk about de-risking, whether it's bringing on security advisors. So we realized very quickly that we're great in the capital market sense. We're great at running businesses. We're serial entrepreneurs, but we don't know the first thing about building buildings or construction or power. So we've gone and partnered with the largest greenhouse manufacturer in the world, Larson. And then what we've done is very different. Is we've gone out to Eaton, the number 2 power company in the world, construction of power utilities. And we basically went to them and said, look, we want to build a partnership with you where we want you to come on as a project partner. We want 40% discount to market on everything you do for us, which will be about $20 million of business. And in return, we'll provide the data for the next 5 years derived from our facility that shows the increase in yields that we're getting or the lack of loss. And they can then use that to go out and shop their services around the world as this marijuana wave continues. And kind of use us as a beta test for them. So we bought in the number 2 power company for utilities in the world, and we brought in the largest construction company in Canada as well to run our project on the exact same on the same platform. Strains we were quite lucky. In Canada, we can't just go buy seeds. All the product of strains you have to come from one of the other LPs, and you can imagine how tightly that intellectual property is being held. So we're very lucky to have 36 different strains, and we have several hundred phenotypes that we're able to now crossbreed in our labs and look at making new derivatives out of. A bit about the management team. Myself, this is the 3rd company that our group's been involved with. I was the director of capital markets and investor relations for Organigram when we took that public. As was Rob Anderson, the guy behind Emblem, and took that one public. We, as much as we're a large company, kind of, going to be probably one of the largest producers in the world, the company was founded by Scott and Jeanette, who are a married couple. Jeanette's a registered nurse who had a daughter that passed away from a rare form of epilepsy. And then through her work in the hospital as a nurse, started seeing cannabis being used to treat these illnesses and realized that it very well may have saved their daughter's life. And they both quit their jobs and started this endeavor, which we then came into to complement and move it forward. But we moved forward with that sense and small company, we're farmers, not farmer approach, and that's derived from our founders. So we're really trying to make sure that we represent that all the way through. Our growing team, we've done very differently to anybody else in Canada. In Canada, you've got the top Cannabis Cup grower winners, your small scale, high quality growers. We've gone with a completely science-based team. You can take a look across the board there. Several masters holders in horticulture and plant sciences. Our head grower has got a PhD in post-harvest science. So we have a very science-based approach, and we complement them from the bottom with expertise specific to cannabis growing. This is an investment. Some of us will not push that too much, but just want to give you an idea of where this landscape might go. When you're able to export your IP and move it across to different states, you're able to sell to different states and not just within your borders. The opportunities, and that's going to come at some point, those opportunities are going to grow very quickly. So the one thing I'd want to push when we're chatting here is just saying make sure you're mindful of the structure and how you build your company, that you have the opportunity to expand and diversify as the rules change here in the U.S.